topic of our today's lecture is how to prepare and publish a scientific publications. This topic is very important for those who start a career in the field of scientific research. Knowing the general future of this difficult process will greatly simplify your life and save a lot of time in preparing and publishing your scientific papers. Why me? My name is Valery Tityuk. I am full doctorate in technical sciences. I am professor of the Department of Electromechanics of the Kryvyi Rog National University. Why? I am sure that I can help you with the publications of your work. I am a co-author of 30 publications in the Scopus databases. 12 of them is scientific publications in journals in Ukraine and abroad. And I assure that my experience will be useful for you too. First of all, I would like to discuss the specific of scientific activity. Intuitively, we understand that it's the development of science that is the basis of the rapid development of various technical means that create our civilization, make our life comfortable and meaningful. The McGill Encyclopedia of Science and Technology defines technology as the art of directing and using the energy of nature for the needs and prosperity of mankind. Methods for designing technical products differ from scientific methods due to fundamentally different formulation of the problem. Science is aimed at discovering new phenomena and creating a theory to describe them. From phenomenon through factors to theory. The primary task of technology is to find means for the useful and economical advantageous application of these phenomena and theories, from theory via solution to different products. Please note that the phenomenon and theory exists in a single copy, and there can be a huge number of technical solutions created on the basis of this theory. Scientists studies existing phenomena and accumulates new knowledges. On this basis, an engineer creates products that did not exist before. This type of human activities are closely related. According to the level of their importance and significance, scientific researches is usually divided into fundamentals, applied, and engineering. The results of fundamentals research remained relevant for centuries. As an example, I would cite the system of equations of classical electrodynamics, sometimes called the Maxwell-Lorentz equations. It's fundamental research that determines the global vector of scientific progress. Despite the small amount of fundamental research, they are of great importance and require enormous costs for their implementation. Yet it must be understood that fundamental research will not acquire its importance if its results are not brought to life through applied and engineering research. Consider the life cycle of scientific and engineering research. The beginning of any work to improve or upgrade an existing equipment or process begins with the identification and formulation of known deficiencies and problems. What exactly is so bad about the current situation? What exactly do we want to improve? What is the ideal result we would like to achieve? Once our goals are defined, we move on to research and practical efforts to improve the performance of our equipment. Here you can apply various methods. Intuitive refinement of existing equipment, research on physical or mathematical models. After approbation of the results of our research, the implementation stage follows, leading to qualitative improvements in the operation of our equipment. Is it possible to achieve the same positive result without involving scientific research? The answer for this question will be yes. The life cycle of engineering search for a solution is completely identical to the cycle of scientific research. What is the main difference between the engineering approach and the scientific one? The answer is scientific novelty. An engineering solution does not necessarily contain scientific novelty, but the scientific solution of the problem necessarily includes the solution of an engineering problem plus scientific novelty. Scientific novelty is the holy grail of scientific research. Without it, scientific research loses its meaning and status. It's the scientific approach that makes it possible to purposefully find optimal engineering solutions, reducing the time and resources spent on the development of technical means. For many branches of science, novelty is manifested in the presence of first formulated and substantiated theoretical provisions, methodological recommendations that have been put into practice and have a significant impact on the achievement of new socio-economic results. Only those provisions of research that contribute to the further development of science or its individual areas can be new. The scientific novelty of the work may be contained in the subject of research, in papers, if, for example, no one has tried to establish the need for this study, in methods, if, for example, no one has used this method in the study area, in the materials, if, for example, no one has analyzed this scientific work, in the results, if, for example, no one has proven this hypothesis before you. The scientific novelty of the research involves three levels. Changes in known information. Its cardinal change. Increasing and supplementing known information without correcting their essence. Clarification, concretization of known information, transfer of the obtained results to a new class of system objects. Levels of scientific novelty accepted by the scientific community is first, improved, has been further developed. And if you got a scientific result, then why not share it with the scientific community? What is scientific publication? A scientific publication is a description of scientific research or its separate element which contains an analysis of the problem, research methods, results, and conclusions. Types of scientific publications are article, book, or chapter of the book, conference abstracts, experiment results, and other in this list. What is a good topic to post for scientific publication? Anything of scientific or engineering value that has never been made public. It will include unexpected behavior, excellent results, new method, new problem, or new experience. The process of creating a scientific publication is conditionally divided into two parts: preparing a paper and publishing a research paper. In the first part, you are engaged in the formulation of the problem, the implementation of your researches, the preliminary design of the obtained results. The slide shows the main stages of the first part. In the second part, you pay more attention to the presentation of the publication, bring to the text publications in line with the requirements, communicate with journal editors and reviewers. The slide shows the main stages of second part. When you start researching, you already have an opinion about the existence of the problem and have ideas about the direction of the solution. Before starting work, make sure that your problem is important and relevant, and your idea for your solution is new. Examine the sources of information available on the internet related to your research and proposed solutions. The slide contains a link to popular internet resources where you can search for up-to-date scientific and technical information. Keep in mind that most scientometric databases provide free access only to abstract of scientific papers. Access to the full text of the publication may be paid. Use the site researchgate.net. This site more often to contain the full text of publications. Before starting work, be sure to create a working title for the future publication. This will help you focus on the right area of your work. The working title of the publication is a 7-word sentence that explains the content of your work without unnecessary details, but with an indication of the field of activity. The structure or the working title looks some like this: from process via subject or study concerning method or situation of your research. A working title should do two things: inspire you to work, explain to everyone exactly what you did, without details, but in the field of activity. On the slide, there are some examples for working title. For example, process predicting, target mine energy consumption, method using neural networks. After creating a working title, you perform the study itself, deriving formulas, mathematical modeling, verifying the results, everything that makes up the practical part of scientific research. Publication design is the final stage of scientific research, but I would recommend doing the practical part of the research and designing the publication in parallel. The good news is that you don't have to design your own posting form. There are rules established in the scientific community for the structure of scientific work, and the requirements for its publication are, designed in the form of special templates that may vary in the editorial offices of different journals. Therefore, it's good practice to pre-design your paper according to the generally accepted structure of scientific publication and then finalize it in accordance with the template of the journal of your choice. Below, we will consider the structure of scientific publication in accordance with the widely used template for conference materials on the requirements of the International Association of Electrical Engineers, IEEE conference template. A scientific publication must necessarily contain special structure elements. This distinguishes scientific publication from fiction. A science publication generally contains the following mandatory elements: paper title, list of authors, abstract and keywords, introduction, the purpose and the task of the research, research materials, conclusion, and last, references, or a list of used literature. The abstract briefly describes the entire work and the results obtained in the research. The reader, first of all, sees the abstract and should get a general idea of the subject of your research and the results you obtained. Abstract should contain approximately 300 words. About keywords. Keywords is 4 to 7 words to help readers find your work. It can be the name of technology, method, etc. On slide you can see abstract of one of my papers. Introduction. Next stage. Introduction. The introduction should present the reader with the essence of the problem being solved. In this part, you need to justify the relevance of the topic and its novelty. To do this, you should provide an analysis of literature sources that are closer to the topic of your research. Also, in this section, it's necessary to mention the normative documents on which the publication is based. Reference to a literary source is built according to the following template. In 10, a solution of the problem, such a problem, is presented, which consists in some results. The following is a criticism of the well-known solution. However, the proposed solution does not allow some things, or its scope is limited due to some solutions. A literature review should identify an important problem that has not been solved so far, and your publication is devoted to solving it. Research materials. Research materials are the main section of the publication. Describe the study in detail. Indicate what tools, methods, materials were used for the work. Give your formulas, assumptions made in mathematical modeling, justification for the adequacy of the modeling results. Be sure to provide numerical results confirming the achievement of the research goal. Next stage is conclusion. The conclusion are devoted to stating the achievement of the goals of the study. All tasks formulated in the goals and objectives of the study must be achieved. It's desirable to confirm the achievement of goals by quantitative assessments. The error has decreased by 2%. Performance increased by 3%, and so on like this. Every goal has its own solution, and this solution must be reflected in your conclusions. This section has a formal structure and contains the solution of all tasks. The number of conclusions should be equal the number of tasks assigned. Thanks and references. Thanks. Thanks is words of gratitude, and written in any free form. You can express gratitude to both individuals and organizations for the moral and financial support of your research. References. As has been said, we stand on the shoulders of giants. That we base our work on the current level of knowledge of society. All ideas and methods mentioned in a publication must be credited to their authors. As a rule, the review of literary sources should contain at least 10 references to modern, not older than 10-15 years, publications in scientific journals and conference proceedings. It's considered good form to refer to the work of your colleagues. The level of self-citation should not exceed 25% of the total number of sources. After preparing the publication material containing the structural elements discussed above, we proceed to work on the publication of our paper. Start this work with an internal review of the work. Ask a colleague to read your work and make critiques. Help your colleagues if you asked you for the same favor. The next you should select the journal to which you want to submit your publication. Be sure to estimate the cost of publication. It's absolutely unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable to send material to several journals at the same time. On the website of the selected journal, download the manuscript design template file. Prepare your material according to the requirements of the selected journal. Then you must upload your completed manuscript to the journal's website and relax. There is still a lot of work ahead. You will first receive a response with comments from the editor of the journal. His task is to ensure that your manuscript fully complies with the requirements of the journal. Below are the editorial requirements for the design of the manuscript of scientific publication recommended by one of the Ukrainian journals indexed in second quartile of Scopus database. The following slides show the editorial requirements for the design of manuscript materials. For the general requirements for the design of the manuscript are listed on the slide. I can note the recommendation not use too large and complex sentences. It's desirable to have no more than 25-30 words in the one sentence. The recommended structure of the manuscript in this journal quite closely coincides with the structure of the IEEE conference materials discussed above on slide 14. You can see all the same points as you see in conference template. Recommendations are given for the formation of the title of your publication. The title should focus on the results obtained in research and not on the process of conducting the study. The title should be closely related to the purpose of the research. Article title cannot be started more broadly than the subject disclosed in the manuscript. Article title mustn't contain abbreviations. On this slide, the requirements for the volume of the summary of the manuscript are given. The summary is the hallmark of the entire study. It should be written in such a way that the reader has a desire to read the entire article carefully and use it for their own research. It's important that the summary contains not only qualitative assessments of the results, but also quantitative assessments. Keywords are used for indexing work in electronic system and the internet. The better keywords are chosen for your work, the more people will be able to find your work for your keywords. The number of keywords is strongly 10, separated by commas. Next stage is the introduction. The introduction should justify not the relevance of the article, but the relevance of scientific issues. To do this, it's necessary to present arguments in favor of the fact that scientific research on this topic is important because the results of such studies are needed in practice. Generally, recommendations are literature review is not carried out in this section, and recommended volume no more than 1 page. At the end of this section, there should be a conclusion of the relevance of research on the scientific issue. The introduction does not analyze literary sources. Analysis of literature data and statement of the problem are described on this slide. This section aims to identify the unresolved parts of the problem under study on the basis of critical analysis for each source. Critical analysis involves answering two questions. What remains unresolved in the source under consideration, and why this something has not yet been resolved? What are the objective or subjective reasons for this? The results of the review is the identification of a niche requiring completion of studies in the form of a formulation of an unsolved problem. Here you can see some internet URLs for searching of up-to-date publication and technical information. The analysis of literature sources should be critical, that is, in relation to each source. It's necessary to determine what issue they have left unresolved and why they have not yet been resolved. Source should be mostly no more than 5 to 10 years old. At the end of the section, there should be a generalization of the results of the critical analysis and, on its basis, the formulation of an unsolved problems. This is precisely the rationale for the purpose of the study in section 3. This allows us to argue that it's advisable to conduct a study on our area. Among the sources, there should not be textbooks, manuals, guidelines, reference books, but all these can be used in all other sections of the article, not in critical analysis. Structure and meaningful presentation of this section is recommended in follows form. The paper number 10 presents the results of research. It's in some area. It shows that some results obtained in paper 10, but issues related to here you describe some unresolved issues of paper. All this suggests that it's advisable to conduct a study on this is your main sentence in this section. Next section is purpose and objectives of the study. The formulation of the goal of research should include two components: scientifics, the purpose of the study is the blah blah blah, and practical part. This will enable to achieve some results. The scientific part should correspond with the title of the article, and its achievement should provide a solution to the problem identified in section 2. The practical part should indicate that we obtain scientific results, that the obtained scientific results will give the practice. Achievement of the scientific component of the research goal. General recommendations are this section cannot contain figures of table. None of the tasks can duplicate the goal of research. The formulation of tasks should be as concise as possible. Ideally, one sentence should be assigned to each task. All explanations for their solution should be directly in those sections of the article that describe their solution. Minimum number of tasks is 2, maximum tasks is 5. The section must be built according to this schema. The aim of the study is and follow task of research by your formulation. Aim of research in your formulations. To achieve the goal of research, the following tasks were set. Tasks should answer the question: what exactly needs to be solved in order to achieve the goal in its part. In the materials and method research section, it should only be said about how the study was conducted. Theoretical methods, software and hardware, conditions for conducting the experimental research, procedures for processing experimental data and checking the adequacy of the proposed models. That's you must specify everything related to obtaining results, but not a single result is given in this section. The research results section should contain its own paragraph for each task. For example, 5.1, 5.2, etc. Because this section is directly related to the tasks and highlights the solutions for the task set in section 3. The title of this section should be specific. That it should contain the answer to the questions. Results of the study of what? General recommendations are next. The text part of each section for each task should deal only with what you should pay attention to when reading the figures, tables and formulas, but without indicating how these results are explained. Accordingly, each of the sections cannot end with a picture or table. There must be a text commentary, at least a compressed one. In this section, nothing needs to be interpreted. The results for each task must be given in the form of dry residue, figures, tables, formulas. In the formulas are the results of certain transformations and reflects those dependencies, the construction of which was indicated in section 3 at the level research objectives. Separately, extensive rules for the design of figures, tables and formulas are described. The section discussion of the results of the study should be built according to the following structure and content scheme. First of all, how can the results obtained be explained? The answer to these key questions of the discussion should relate to each result for each task with a mandatory reference to figures, tables and formulas that reflects your obtained results. What features of the proposed solutions provide advantages and what exactly are the advantages of this study compared to similar known ones? In the discussion of the research results section, it should be noted how exactly the solution obtained closer the problem part defined in section 2, to what extent, due to what exactly, what explains obtained results. It's in the answer to the questions, to these questions, that the evidence-based arguments should be contained regarding the fact that the goal set has actually been achieved, that is, the problem defined in section 2 has really been solved, and this is what will testify that the author has managed to fill the existing niche with his results, of their research. The limitations of the study should be noted separately. When drawing up conclusions of the on the publication, attention should be paid to the following. The number of outputs should equal the number of tasks. Conclusions should be structured and numbered in accordance with the task section 3, but not repeated them. Each conclusion should contain a description of the essence of the results obtained in accordance with its task in sections 3, especially the results, its difference from the known ones, and also contain a brief interpretation. What explains the results? When compiling the reference list, please note the following. The list of reference should contain at least 10 works no older than 5 to 10 years. Self-citation should not exceed 30%. Dissertations and abstracts don't belong to specific periodicals. Therefore, they are replaced by the corresponding articles of the authors. If possible, Digital Object Identifier, DOI, Digital Object Identifier, must be specified for all sources. One way to publicate your paper is preprint. Preprint has an excellent risk. Preprint has an excellent risk minimization practice. You can get the following benefits. The manuscript will be published earlier. It will be difficult to accuse you of plagiarism. And last, it's free and fast. There are 2 links where you can public preprints for your papers. After eliminating all editorial comments, the most crucial moment will come, an external review of your manuscript. Closed peer review is performed free of charge by the editors of the journal. The reviewer can criticize your opinion about the relevance of the study, the formulation of scientific novelty you propose, the style of presenting the obtained results, and more other. If the reviewer is not satisfied with your response to his comments, the journal will refuse to publish your manuscript. But if the reviewer's opinions is positive, it's the best. It remains only to wait the publications of the magazine. At this point, your manuscript miraculously becomes a scientific publication. Indexing a publication in the Scopus database can make from up to 6 months. I would like to thank all the colleagues who made this work possible. Special thanks go to Associate Professor Vladislav Fedotov, my dean, who made me believe that I could do this job. Dmitry Gumenny, PhD, a colleague from ResearchGate, whose ideas I widely used when writing this work. An unknown member of the editorial staff of the Eastern European Journal of Advanced Technologies, who shared with me the requirements for the design of manuscripts and recommendations for their implementation. Professor Dmitry Rotkin, my first supervisor. Professors Alexei Chorny and Victor Busher, my colleagues in the workshop, from whom I still learn informal methods and scientific work. Thank you for your attention.